Get started. The Lord be with you. Lord, thank you for bringing us together this morning for a moment of fellowship and sharing and the opportunity to see where we are as a parish and where we're headed. Watch over this group, watch over each individual person here as they continue to support and contribute to the future of St. Luke's on the Lake. We give thanks for them. We give our dedicated time and compassion and energy to fulfilling your vision for our community here. Amen. Amen. So, how is everyone? Good? Awesome. Everyone has their team that, did anyone's team win yesterday that's in here?
I think mine did.
You think yeah. So it was a long football day for a lot of people yesterday. So today, Reverend Ann is out of town, and so we have Father Parker with us. Everyone say hello, Father Parker. He was here at 8 o'clock this morning. He'll be doing the 10:15 service, and Ann will be back next week. So we took this opportunity to not only give an update to everyone on the search process, but just, I think, some updates from the vestry in general on several things that are going on that we've been discussing and been dealing with. So I'm gonna just go down a laundry list of things just so kind of you all have an understanding of what we've been working on as a leadership team. And if you have questions, please feel free to interject. And there's several vestry members here, and we'll be glad to hear from you. So I'll start with the search process. And as you know, getting Reverend Ann here and in place was a significant piece in us being able to sort of shift gears and then focus on how we're going to move forward. So the vestry met 2 Sundays ago for a really long time, right? Vestry members. And we did go through all of the interest forms that people had submitted. We had already reviewed some of them to kind of fill out all of those teams that we had for the search process. So there was the search committee, there was the profile team, there was a prayer team, a celebration team, and a transition team. And so what we started with was vetting through for the search committee and the profile committee, because we wanted to be able to figure out what we want to do on those two, start reaching out to those folks, and then see where that leaves us so we can fill out the rest of the teams. So we are still in that process a little bit. I can tell you what I can as of today. Ideally, if it works out exactly like we planned, the search committee would consist of 12 people. It would be 4 vestry members and 8 others. And then we have 6 folks that we identified for the profile team. The good news is we have not received any no's. So that's a good thing. But we have not received all of our yeses yet. And in fact, there's about 4 people I still need to reach out to as we've been kind of working down that list and trying to get in touch with people. So next Sunday, we will be announcing sort of the members of the search committee and the profile committee, the folks that are still discerning and praying about whether or not they want to say yes. I gave them until next week to do that. And so, or this coming week. So we'll be able to make that announcement and publish that to the parish. So really excited about it. I think it was really nice. We had 52 or 53 interest forms that were submitted, which is awesome. And so we had a nice pool of folks that were interested, and we're working really hard as a vestry, I think, to try to put people in places where they expressed an interest. And so it's been really a positive experience. So we're working with the diocese. I've actually reached out to our contact there to go ahead and get our training that has to happen for the search committee set up so that it's a one-day training, but that way we're not waiting until the profile is done to get all that rolling. So the profile committee will start their work first. We are not going to re-engage with the Holy Cow survey in full. That profile team will be tasked with taking the profile from a few years ago, breaking it down, and then re-engaging with everyone in the parish to get feedback, make edits, updates, those types of things. We'll still put together the same kind of template that the diocese requires, which is there's some pictures, which ministries do you have, which programs do you have, which kinds of small groups do you have, and we'll get that posted. And so it's that part should move fairly quickly, we believe, since we're not engaging in the full Holy Cow survey. So I know oftentimes people think about when they hear people or know people that could be a candidate for the rector search, you're very close to being able to approach those folks and ask them to consider a discernment process on whether or not they want to apply. And so just as a reminder, when you have those folks, you would ask them to apply with the diocese. You don't necessarily reach out to the search committee. You don't do any of those things. The search committee doesn't accept candidates. All the candidates go through the diocese first. So, but we absolutely want to do the work ourselves and kind of gin up some good candidates. We don't want to be reliant on just the application process through the website. So our goal, so we have some photos of everyone, which is why we're taking a little bit extra time so everybody knows who everybody is that's on these committees, and we'll be ready to announce next week. Is there any, the specific names on the search committee? Is there any questions about either the search committee or the profile committee? The search committee does elect their own leadership, so they will have a chair and a vice chair. The vestry does not appoint that, so that is something they would do at their first meeting. I think we have a really good group potentially, so keep praying for those folks that they keep saying yes, and those, I think it's 4 folks overall that I haven't reached out to yet, which I will do today. Lift them up anonymously and make sure they say yes as well. Maybe we can make quick work of it. Any other questions or any questions on that piece? Awesome. Another thing that the vestry has been working on is campus safety in a couple of different ways, and I wanted to share it with you all. One of the areas is the trail down below the church. So if you've been over in the parking lot on the far end, you'll notice there's like some ribbon and tape up and some signs that say no trespassing and all those kinds of things. What happened, I guess it was about, Nancy, was it about a month ago?
6 weeks.
6 weeks ago?
Something like that.
We actually had a fire down there that we did not know about, thankfully. And so because if you take the trail down, there's some benches down there, and it seemed like maybe someone had tried to expose of a cigarette or something. And this is where we had any of the rain we've had recently. So the vestry made the decision to go ahead and close that trail for now, because, it's great. We've had a lot of scout projects and things over the years that have made trails down to the benches. However, those trails have not been kept up. And so they're not cleared, and a little bit of a fire hazard. Particularly, we were very lucky that fire spread laterally rather than going up the hill, which would have been a much different conversation for us here at St. Luke's. So if you hear folks that are frustrated by that, or if you're wondering why you can't go down the trail, if that's something you had done before, on both sides, just know that is something we're doing for the safety of the campus until we can figure out a better way to monitor that, or if it's even something that we can monitor effectively. And we're also looking at overall campus safety, just so that you're aware. This is work that was started, I believe, 2 vestries ago. It was before I was on the vestry. And we engaged with Reverend Ann had found an online webinar that a lot of the leadership participated in. It's a consultant here in Austin that works specifically around campus safety for churches. And they kind of look at your access points and all those kinds of things. And so we all enjoyed the webinar that we participated in, and we're working with that individual to come out, do an assessment, and give us some plans and suggestions for how we can secure the campus overall. We do have, now that COVID is subsiding somewhat, at least from the perspective of people going out and doing things, we have far more people at the church on a regular basis. The request to use the facility is increasing. So we have, kids camps or most recently, we're working with a theater arts group who wants to come into the campus. And so now that we're sort of getting back to that, it seems like it's a priority that we need to be more aware of how people can enter the building at different times. And I wish I could say that it doesn't happen, that people get in the building that we don't know, but unfortunately it does. So we've found folks down in the hallway, down where the kids' classrooms are, or someone will just walk in the door, we're like, can we help you? And so it's just a weird environment at times. And so we're going to be more mindful of how we can secure that for everyone here, whether that is during church on Sundays, or if that is something happening during the week and it's just we have visitors on campus and those kinds of things. Hospitality, you'll notice this week that we have transitioned to some breakfast treats rather than our normal tacos. We are looking at a couple of different ways to do hospitality in the mornings a little differently. So this is sort of an interim step with the treats that are back there. I want to thank Barbara and staff for helping the vestry find a transition plan for that. And then when Reverend Ann gets back this week, we have some ideas that we can discuss and be looking for that, because it's going to be something that I think many people in the parish can participate in as a ministry to your neighbors here at St. Luke's. And we can share a meal or in snacks together in a little bit different way than what we've been doing. Stewardship, we're going to be doing a campaign around stewardship a little bit earlier than we normally do for two reasons. One, we want to, Reverend Ann and I support this wholly, the program that she wants to put in place around the discipline of stewardship is a little bit more detailed than what we've done in the past. And so I think it's a valuable investment to spend a few more weeks than we normally do talking about stewardship. And hopefully it's something we've talked about year round. And so we also want to try to get ahead of ourselves on the budgeting process, particularly in the context of the search, so that when we have applicants and they're coming to look at St. Luke's or considering St. Luke's as a place maybe where they would want to be the rector, that we have our financials and our budget in place for next year, so that there's a good picture of what the new year is going to hold. So we're really excited about that. Another topic is vestry elections. So our vestry elections typically now happen in the fall. So we'll be hosting, I don't have a date yet, we will be hosting a vestry election meeting in October or November. And we're in the process now of finding our next round of vestry members. So our nominating committee is consisted of the 4 vestry members that are rolling off of the vestry. So that is Pat Harrison, Kelly Sosa, Ron Cristobal, and Christy Diver. Thank you. And so if you know someone who's interested in serving on the vestry, those are the 4 folks that you would want to talk to. You can talk to obviously any of us on the vestry, but we are looking for those folks. One thing I would encourage you to consider is if, just so you know, as a parish, bless you, we will not be seeking out folks, or we're going to encourage folks that have said yes to the search committee to not be considered for the vestry. So we're trying to keep those as separate as we can. And so we are kind of telling folks that as we talk to them, that if they had any ideas about serving on the vestry this coming year, this probably is not the year to do that if they would like to be on the search committee. Because we don't want to all of a sudden have a search committee of 8 vestry members just because of an election or something like that. So I just keep that in mind. Lots of good things happening. I think Anne is getting her feet underneath her and figuring out sort of how we do things here and how we can improve things here. So we're really excited about that. The vestry is going to begin looking at several different ministries and programs now that Anna's with us with some consistency. And so we'll be looking at whether it's like we started out now, we're talking about how do we do hospitality in the morning, we'll be going through ministries sort of one at a time, taking a deep dive to figure out how we can better serve the community. And a lot of that's going to come from you all. Once we have that profile committee up, I know we had started those visioning sessions. We're going to pick those back up. So just know that probably in about 3 weeks-ish, 3 or 4 weeks, 4 Sundays from now, we'll finish up those visioning sessions so that we can be sure that we have everyone's input. And it'll be overlap between sort of the work we were doing and then also inserting that into the profile work that the profile committee is doing. So they'll be helping us lead that work once we get them on board. Any other questions that you can think of in general about the church, where we are? Vestry members, do y'all have anything else that you can think of that would be an important update to share? I think that was a good portion of it. I know this is not an adequate fill-in for Reverend Ann, so, but we just wanted to reach out to y'all, give you an update, let you know where we are. And I think it's really exciting because the conversation I had with the diocese, by the way, was again very positive, and I feel like they're going to help us move as expeditiously as we can once we get that profile posted. So I think that's really, really nice that we can do that. Sharon, do you have anything you want to say about Camp Allen? I know you had the gathering a few weeks ago, and is there anything?
I will always say something about Camp Allen. Thank you. For those of you who couldn't join us a few weeks ago, we had 4 or 5 kids from St. Luke's go to different sessions of Camp Allen this summer, and the feedback was universally amazing. I think they all want to go back next year, so that's really exciting to me. And one reason why I'm a part of this ministry is when I look at building our Christian community and the future of the church, to me, sending our kids to a place where you can live in Christian community for a week is one of the most amazing things that we can do. And so, I'm here as a resource to you all. We're going to continue talking about Camp Allen. Registration, I'm told, opens in October. And so this is, grandparents, this applies to you too, because there's a lot of grandparents who send their kids to Camp Allen. It's a really cool intergenerational thing. If you really want to get into a particular session, you want to be registering in January. So we want to be talking about this now, making sure that people are aware. I saw pictures on, maybe it was Facebook last night, of the Labor Day camp that they did. And oh my goodness, it looked fun. They had a big luau and people were all dressed up and, the whole luau food and everything. So they do some very cool stuff. We're trying to do a good job of keeping everybody informed of what's going on, but please do also go out to their website because there's always information on various different things that happen.
We're glad Sharon's in this role because a lot of the conversations that we've been having are we really, as a parent of 2 teenage girls that had varying engagement levels in youth here at St. Luke's. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, every child's different, and looking back, we're trying to figure out, okay, so how can we build a youth program or help support a youth program that has a high level of engagement? And the one thing that we kept coming back to, and I say we, I'm talking about my wife and I, because she is a longtime Camp Allen staff member back in the day when she was on Yes and Happening teams, and she would take kids there. We feel like that is a significant gap that we really haven't leveraged fully here at St. Luke's. And there is this idea that we want St. Luke's to be a place where our kids go to stuff at Camp Allen. That's just who we are, and that's what we're about. And so we're going to keep talking about it. And it's not because it's Camp Allen, it's not because it's just camp, it's because it's this really unique, engaging experience with other kids, not just because they can make friends, because it's the place where they can actually talk about God to peers. And that can be tough if you're sitting in the cafeteria at your high school or your middle school, right? I mean, that's a tough thing to say, how's the burrito today? And let's talk about God a little. these experiences at Camp Allen are really critical, then to be able to find who they are and what that relationship with Christ looks like for them. We had my older daughter, Grace, her friend went on a 9-month mission trip after she got out of high school. She left a few weeks ago. And so she goes and she went to Georgia for a month, and it's to acclimate them to what their living environment's going to be for the next 9 months. And they live in tents. They don't get to shower every day. They don't have their electronics. They have to live out of a backpack. That's all they have, because the places they're going, it's like somewhere in South America, Romania, and then somewhere in Africa. I don't remember exactly all the places. And it's a Christian-based mission trip, but obviously much different, particularly for kids these days, to live in a way that is so very, very basic, not access to what you would consider normal hygiene items. So it was really sort of an eye-opening experience for her already. And she has this blog, and she posts about it, because they let them post, I think, once every 2 weeks throughout this trip, so people can follow. And she said that it was really interesting. She was 40 people, and she goes, I never realized that people can worship differently and pray differently and still all believe essentially the same thing. So she had all these questions in her own mind, because she prayed differently than other people prayed, or worshiped differently than her friends did. But then when she gets with these group of people, it's this really moving experience where they have this common bond, which is super solid. It just manifests itself in a very different way. And I feel like that's what our kids have all the time. An Episcopal church looks a lot different than North Point, which is where all the kids go at my kids' high school, right? I mean, that's a much different worship experience. So you just have to find those connection points, and I think really that's what Camp Allen's all about.
You don't know what it's going to be. That is such a good point, right? You never know what it is that God is going to use to reach down and activate what's ready in someone's heart. And I have seen it so many times with Camp Allen, which is why I'm such a passionate supporter. Youth group works for some kids, and for some kids it's harder for them to get engaged. Everybody's different, but I love the sort of the menu of options that are available at Camp Allen. If you're not a summer camp person, then there's these weekend retreats called Yes and Happening, or there's family things that you can go to. There's grandparents camps. There's just a lot of different things. And as a church, we can also decide, when we're ready to take part and do things as a church community at Camp Allen. And I've seen it. I mean, you have to, Parker. You've kind of been around this a long time, and so many kids who you might not have, you could be someone who goes to church every week, and there's some kid that you don't recognize. They're like on the leadership team at Camp Allen, and all these people in the diocese know them. It's just God touched them in a way that was their connection. And I think that's such an amazing, incredible thing, is, the Father that we worship and how he works differently with everybody. And so I think really encouraging our kids, just go for a weekend. And if you don't like it, you don't like it, but give it a try, because my girls have made lifelong friends.
And I think there's something about the mystery of the Christian journey that is really hard these days for young people to understand, because we live in a world that is absolute. Either you are, you aren't. You like it, you don't. You support it, you don't. You're on this side or this side. Everything tends to be very black and white. And I would say, even as we enter into the search process, it's much the same. There's a lot of gray area there. And so I was visiting with someone about potentially serving on the search committee, and they expressed a concern that they were not worthy. They didn't do all the things, that they didn't check all the boxes, they're not on 19 different groups, and and all the things or whatever. And I was like, here's the deal. I said, the search committee process, the search process is a discernment process with God. It's not about you. So don't worry about it. We have to believe that the next rector for St. Luke's has been chosen for us. We just have to go find that person. We have to do a lot of work to go uncover and find that person. It's a lot of inward reflection and trying to figure out who that person is. So don't let people get hung up on, I missed a Sunday 3 weeks ago, so I can't be on the search committee, right? And so we're excited. Both of those groups together, I can tell you, represent a cross-section of folks that have been here not very long to folks that have been here a really good number of years. Folks that have small children, folks that had small children, folks that don't have children at all. And so we're really proud of how the work happened, and honestly, truly thankful for the massive amount of support that we received in the submission of those forms. And so, like I said, there's still some few people. So if you're in this room and you had wanted to be on the search committee or the profile committee, you haven't heard from me, it's possible you're one of those 4 people. So you'll hear from me today if you haven't heard from me already. And then if you had put your name in and you don't hear from us, know that we just ask for your patience, because there were very intentional conversations about folks that put in for other teams that we just haven't appointed yet. And so those will be coming very, very soon, because we want the prayer team in particular to get going very soon to support the work of the profile and the search committee. Any other questions or comments?
Darren, I just thank you for everything you told us today. Yes. Good news, good information. I'm happy to hear about all the things Camp Allen, and I want to point out our bulletin board over there has posters for the upcoming events there. And while we have a minute, I'd like to ask Maria Boulay to speak to your new Bible study that you're leading by Zoom. You had a good session, I heard, on Wednesday, and I'm sorry I missed it.
Sure, yeah, and Carol was there.
It was great, so if you haven't joined us, please do.
And there were it was, to me, the most amazing insight that he shared, and again, it was his perspective, was that Luke was a slave. And that was something that I had never heard in all the studies I've done. Yes, that rich, prominent men had personal physicians that were their slaves. And that's what he was, and just that just keeps sticking with me, because I don't picture Luke that way. But it really just opens up the gospel, and the discussion I think was good, and just talking about that and the work of the Holy Spirit in our lives. So it's 7 to 8. Kim Hall joined and said, I'll see if it ends by 8, and I was like, I'm committed to ending by 8. I'm committed. She's starting to end on time always. So it starts at 7 and ends at 8. So just an hour later. Kay and Paul were there too. And Barbara. So we invite you to join us. You don't have to, if you missed last week, that's cool.
Exactly. And we will be posting Zoom recordings of the sessions, so people can catch up if they want to. But like you said, if you've missed it, it's not a big deal. You're still going to learn a lot about Luke.
Yes.
And thank you for doing that. So we've had Bible studies during the week for a while, and to have this at night, not during the day. So folks that can't make it during the day, this is really great. It's by Zoom. So even for me, if I'm out of town, it's available to me. I can join from wherever I am. So thank you for leading that effort. Any other updates? Yes,
I just
sir.
put in an advertisement for Father Mike. He wasn't here today, but the study on Romans, he started Thursday. It was very interesting, and it was very promising. As always, he's a great teacher. He's always very prepared. And so that was very insightful as well. He's got a nice syllabus for what we're going to be looking at.
I had forgotten that started again. So thank you for saying that.
I want to say around 30 people total in the room, and I was in on my Father Mike study as well. So
As he returns from his
good stuff.
most recent sabbatical-ish from St. Luke's. He took the rest of the summer off, and now he's back with his Bible study, so we appreciate him doing that as well.
And that study will also be started in
And then isn't it next week where we're starting daily on Thursdays at Eucharistic service? 22nd?
Yeah, so Ann will lead, it's going to be Ann, correct? Yeah, Ann is going to lead the Eucharist on Thursdays following
Before, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock before Father Mike's Bible study. So that'll be on Thursday mornings, which would be great. Any other updates people would like to share?
I think the name of the mission thing is World Race.
Yes, that is it, World
Because-
Race.
Audrey Keith years ago did that, and I have kept that group on my prayer list since then.
Oh,
So,
that's amazing.
who was the friend of your daughter that was?
Hannah Lauritsen.
If anybody from here does that again, because I know when Audrey did it, because I signed up, I was able to see her posts and everything. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah, they all have links, and this is something they have to fundraise off of to be able to go, and so there was a lot of work that went into it before they ever were able to go. So, she's,
Some people do, it's just, I just don't know.
I couldn't remember the name, but yes, that's it, it's World Race. Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, then we have some fellowship time, and then we'll head upstairs after 10 for worship. Good to see y'all.